Hello, today we are going to work on making your science fair document look like a professional document. So step one, open up your science fair document. I took a student's old, very successful document, messed it up a little bit so that we could work on editing it together, and I'm going to just show you step by step what you should do. Step one, go to your front page. If you haven't added a title yet, I would go ahead and do that today because I had some students at the last fair who forgot to add a title eventually. So even if you don't love your title, you can change that later. So go ahead and put your title in, your name, and the due date of February 13th is the science fair, but February 12th is the day you have to turn it all in. So I might put the 12th on here so you don't forget. Once you have those things on there, sometimes a lot of people's experimental design, their question and everything has started jumping up to right in here. So we don't want our title page to have anything else on it, except for if you want to make your title page look different, use a fun font, have a picture or whatever, you are more than welcome to add that in later. It's not a requirement, but it is allowed. Something that we do need though that's not currently in our template is called a table of contents page. So currently I want you to do two things. One, I want you to go to Insert, and first I just want you to say Break, Page Break. So we'll go there and look. Now we have a brand new page, all blank, all on its own. For those of you who've messed up your formatting, that's going to be really helpful to you. The next thing I want to do is go to Insert, Table of Contents. So notice nothing happened. Well, we're going to format our paper a little bit differently today to make sure that our table of contents creates itself. So that's a really nice thing. Now at the top of my table of contents page, I might go ahead and go to center align, use title, and say table of contents. So that way it's ready to go. But then if you notice, this is a little bit of coding to tell us that when we format our headings, they're going to just show up in our table of contents for us, and they'll have page numbers. So that's our next step. So when I go through, my table of contents should be a page all by itself. If somehow yours is not, again, insert that page break. When I come here, there's still the highlights and the bolding from all the original work. I don't want that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to say none because I don't want it highlighted. Next, I'm going to come here and I'm going to unbold it. Okay, so I'll highlight it and press Command B or Control B if you're on a PC. Then here's the next thing I'm going to do. After my purpose, I'm going to press Enter so that it's on its own line. Now, if there's editing errors, that's something you need to do on your own time, and I'll of course help with that, but that's not the purpose of today. Today is just formatting. I'm going to come over here to Purpose and highlight it. Right now it says normal text. If I come and say that I want it to be heading 2, so it'll still be my purpose, but it's just got a different heading format. Now I have purpose here, and if I come up to my table of contents and press refresh, ta-da, I have my first thing, purpose, page 3. Now I don't want all of these things to be separate: question, independent variable, constants, control, right? So, because really all of this is part of one aspect, which is called the scientific question. So first of all, let's fix the formatting. I'm going to highlight it all, get rid of the highlight, and I have to undo the bolding on all of these, which is kind of redundant. I wish I would have done that in the first place, but I didn't, and that's okay. So Command B, I'll come back and do that. So I'm just going to keep going through and making sure that the only words that are bolded are those little subtitles I have there. Okay, so I know that seemed redundant, but look guys, that took like 12 whole seconds, so I know we can do this. And then I'm going to come here, right above where my question is, and I'm going to change it again to heading 2, and I'm going to call it scientific question. Because if I do that, and I learn how to spell, again, now I've put in another heading, right? And if we come up to our table of contents and we refresh it, now I have 2 things in my table of contents already ready to go, which is a pretty cool thing. Now notice, I have my scientific question right here, and then it jumps right into my research. Oops, I obviously messed up my formatting. So I'll come right above my research, and I'm just going to say Insert, Break, Page Break. So research is now on its own page. Again, I'm going to come to Research, though, and I'm going to change that to Heading. And when I do so, my research will be in my table of contents. However, since this is a separate research paper and I put a lot of work into it, I think I'm actually going to center that and make this a title. The Love of Chocolate. Now, if you feel like your title needs to look differently, can you change that stuff? You certainly can. You can change the size and the font, and it will still be called Heading 2. And that's great. So, since it's a heading, again, when I refresh, ta-da, it's there. Okay? So there's my research paper, all done, looking final. Now that being said, most of you don't have your research paper in here yet because you've been working on it with Mrs. D. If yours is ready to insert, take the time to insert it today. Otherwise, just make sure that you have that research as a heading number 2 so that it's on your table of contents and you don't forget to come and put it in later. So I'll scroll down past all of my research. Please note, at the end of my research paper, there's a gap. There should be. I don't want my hypothesis right at the end of my research paper. So when the research paper ends, there's a gap to a new page. Again, I've got my hypothesis here, all bolded and highlighted, so I'll fix that. No highlight. Undo the bolding on everything else. But also, again, I'm going to press Enter, and that's an important step. Because if you don't press enter, then it will make all of that, the whole hypothesis a heading, which would be weird looking. So I'm going to come back to heading 2. I've got my hypothesis there, ready to go. And then again, I don't want my materials and my procedures to be goofy. First of all, the word materials shouldn't be bulleted, so I'm going to backspace that a little bit. And I can either put new words here that say experimental design, and that can be materials and procedures, or you can make them their own separate headings. That's up to you. So I've got materials, I've got my procedures, and I'm making them all headings. I don't need my materials to be bolded, so I'll undo that. I've got my procedures all written out as steps 1, steps 2. I wouldn't take the time to say step 1, step 2. I asked you specifically to use the numbered list format, so when you do that, it numbers it for you, and then you shouldn't have taken the time to do that. And what that does is it just makes it look neater and more professional. So if you were a person who wrote step 1, step 2, take the time today to get rid of that and just go with the standard formatting that was asked for. Is that going to make or break your science fair? No, but it will make it look more professional. All right, so we've got that. That's wonderful. Now, we have our results section. You can either have this titled results or you can have it titled data. I think yours says data. Either one is fine. The thing that matters is that you come and you make that a heading today so that it goes into it. And then last but not least, we will have our conclusions, and I want you to make that a heading as well. Those conclusions we're going to start writing on Monday. So those of you who haven't done your test yet, please, please, please try to conduct it this weekend so that you'll be ready to start writing your conclusions on Monday. And I said last, but I lied. The real last thing is you're going to, at the end of your conclusion, need to insert a page break, like we've been doing. Insert break, page break, or this funny sign and enter. But then you're going to need a bibliography as well. And so we'll want this to be heading 2. Again, if you feel like this one needs to be bigger, make it bigger. That's up to you. Because your bibliography page is obviously extremely important. Look how many resources she used just for chocolate. I'm just going to throw that out there. This is a real student. And notice it's MLA formatting for her bibliography because that is a requirement of how we cite our sources. So at this point, when I scroll through, look how much nicer her document looks. It's all formatted well. It looks the same. Oh, I don't like that my hypothesis title is different. Let's change that right away. So when I scroll through, now it looks like a professional document, whereas before, it really didn't. And so just a simple little thing to make my document look professional. Then I can come back here, refresh, and my table of contents is complete. So, a really cool way to add in a table of contents, great feature of Google Doc. Know that was a long video. I hope you worked with me so that way you could be done in 10 minutes as well with your formatting.